Okay, hello, Matthew. Thank you for joining our podcast. Matthew is a CEO and co-founder of ClearCogs. Matthew, I would like to start from the beginning. Could you please tell us how the idea behind the ClearCogs was born? What problem in the restaurant industry did you initially aim to solve?
Well, first off, Igor, I appreciate you having me on, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. So look, I mean, this was born out of the pain I felt as a owner operator of restaurants. So I spent a decade as a owner operator of Jimmy John's franchises. And, one of the things that we always struggled with was making, operational on the ground decisions like, it's 2 hours prior to close. Do we need to bake another cycle of bread or can we shut the ovens off? And, we played that by feel. And so, yeah, it was that pain that ultimately led us to starting ClearCogs.
Okay, thank you. How do you explain ClearCogs in simple terms to restaurant owners who aren't very tech savvy?
Yeah, I mean, first off, it's always aligning on what it is that we're actually solving for. So getting a clear understanding. And, fundamentally, we believe that when a restaurant knows their future, they can make better decisions and operate more profitably, something that most restaurants agree to. And then when we explain how does AI work, how do we use machine learning to solve this problem, we like to break it down in very human terms because, frankly, much of what AI is just artificial intelligence. We're taking learned intelligence from people on the ground and turning it into artificial. So we always like to use the analogy of a great general manager. A great general manager was trying to make that decision about how much bread to have. Do I need to bake that other cycle? They'd probably do some very human things. They'd go look outside, see what the weather's like. They'd probably look at what sales were yesterday and last week and what they were last year, how much bread they went through, what was left over. Machine learning allows us to basically take those very human thought processes and do them at scale for every decision.
Okay, and who are your main customers today?
We
Independent. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, fast casual QSR chains. Typically, you have to have 10 to 20 units for locations for it to make sense to bring in an AI operations system like ours. But yeah, think a little bit more business driven than chef inspired. This isn't your farm to table, Michelin star restaurant, but really that regional chain.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. What were the biggest challenges you faced at the beginning, and what challenges are you facing today?
I would say the biggest challenge we faced in the beginning was this. You can have the greatest AI in the world, but it doesn't do a very good job if you feed it bad data. And we operate in an industry, restaurants, where the data is just really bad. It's manually entered. They run out of product. And so we spend a lot of time building out the data cleansing architecture just so we could run these AI models. And yeah, that took a long time. I would say, what we face today, operationalization. If you get a new tool, something you've never had before, you don't necessarily know how to use it. There's not a playbook here for how do I take probabilistic time series forecasting and integrate it into my current workflows. So really helping brands reimagine how they use this technology.
Okay. Could you please tell our audience how exactly does your forecasting system work? What types of data does it rely on? Sales, POS system, I don't know, events?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes back to that analogy before. What a great general manager do. They'd look at all of your order history. So we ingest all the order history, all of your POS transaction data. They'd certainly want to know more than just what menu items are ordered. They'd want to know how much of each ingredient am I going to use. So we're taking all their back of house inventory mapping software. We're taking all of the order quantities, and then we're mixing in, external data sets, weather, events. I mean, you name it. We can bring in any kind of local types of regressors that matter to that individual brand. Maybe it's the dew point. It's amazing how all holidays. I think we look at it something like 27 different variables, and and something like 100 million data points every day just to make one decision.
Mhm. Got it. Could you share a concrete before and after example of a restaurant using ClearCogs? What improvements did they experience? What do they tell?
Yeah, I mean, so again, going back to the sandwich analogy, the first one we did was I called my cousin and I called some other franchisees, the same brand. We went and solved that decision. We were able to cut their bread waste by 53%. Went into a regional chain out in California that a commissary style restaurant group. Literally within the first month in the first location, they were able to save just shy of $8,000, which is life-changing money to most restaurants. They ended up adding 2.3% to the bottom line by the end of the full rollout.
Great example. Thank you. How do you integrate with restaurant systems, POS, inventory, supply management tools? How easy? The question is, how easy is it to integrate?
It's not.
Without changing their workflows?
It's not. I mean, restaurant industry is tough. It's a fragmented tech architecture, and not the systems don't communicate very well. They don't have a central language between them. So it's one of the real difficult parts of the restaurant industry. It's why companies like us have to come in and standardize all their data and actually get it even set up to be able to run these kind of models.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What metrics do you consider most important when evaluating ClearCogs' success?
All right, so this one's going to be kind of crazy. So obviously, we want to save them money, right? That's the easy part. But really, it's what is the feeling from the managers, the people on the ground using this? Is this something that they are looking at 5 times a day? Is it something that if it was taken away from them, would just ruin their life? And a lot of times, the people that are closest to the product, they're not able to quantify all of this. It's a feel. They're like, this really matters to me. And because those are our end users, yeah, that's who we tend to care about the most.
Okay. Speaking about your plans, in the comparison, where are you right now? And are you planning to expand the product, more advanced forecasting, supply chain optimization? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, we started off doing sales forecasting and predictive prep. We've moved into ordering, and slowly but surely we're becoming that AI decision management, for the boots on the ground employees. Fundamentally, people get into the restaurant industry because they like the people side of it. They like serving people. They like managing people. Nobody gets into this business because they like doing inventory. Nobody likes entering invoices. It's just, that's not what they do. And so, fundamentally, we see the fractional CFO, COO, that restaurant co-pilot that sits on top of your data and helps you make those daily decisions as being kind of our, light at the end of the tunnel. It's our guiding light, our North Star.
Mm-hmm. What technical or operational challenges do you face as a scale?
It'd be easier to answer what we don't face, because look, there's just challenges everywhere. I mean, welcome to dealing with software and AI. These are just areas that are they're tough. Yeah, we face a lot of problems.
Mm-hmm. How do you approach customer onboarding and support? How easy is it for teams to adapt and follow your recommendations?
Well, there's a difference between how easy it is for them to adopt and use, and how easy is it to onboard a customer. So the answer is, it's easy for restaurants to adopt and use this. The reason that it's easy is because today we have Will and Allie, who are just killer implementation people, to go just spend a lot of time and effort thinking through these restaurant brand systems and getting it all dialed in to what they need to see every day. Very manual. I mean, ultimately, a lot of that will become more automated over time, but we spend a lot of time doing manual setup to make sure it's right, at least for the first location, so that every other location can just onboard instantaneously. You're speaking the same language. You've built it out to look exactly like what they're used to. So the first time somebody sees it, they know, oh, I know what to do with this.
Mhm. Are there any industry constraints, regulatory, operational, market specific, and also speaking about the markets? What is your main market right now? Are you going to expand? If there are any constraints?
Yeah, we serve over 100 brands across 5 countries, close to 1,000 restaurants all in today. We have a number of different regulatory hurdles, from making sure we don't have personally identifiable customer data to making sure that we're in compliance with all of our data vendors and not sharing data to, security of that data. Look, it's restaurant brands share all of their operations with us. That's an important thing, and it takes a lot of work to make sure that it's safeguarded, not shared, and stored securely.
Okay. How do you see your main competitors? For example, there are such solutions like Power BI. I would like to get your vision on at this point.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that our competitor is Power BI by any means. Really, when it comes to prescriptive analytics, there's not a lot of people that play in that space. There's probably a half dozen, maybe a dozen if you looked at worldwide, and probably 2 or 3 others that are meaningful in the United States. Look, I look at it like this. This is a $100+ billion a year problem in just the US. It's massive. Our competitors, along with us, we're all trying to figure out what this category looks like, how it's going to be defined, how it's solved for. And I'm rooting for every one of them to be successful, right?
Mhm.
This is great for the industry. There's going to be multiple winners in this industry. The real question is, what's the right path forward? And, steel sharpens steel. It's nice having a little competition to make sure that we're all innovating.
First in, first win.
Yeah.
How do you think this competition in the space will evolve? How do you see the future?
I think everything gets a little bit more niche. I think that there are, people, right? So we do everything through data. We're going to take all your data, operate behind the scenes. You don't have to enter anything manual. You don't need to have any hardware solutions. This is a simple bolt on to your current tech stack and get the answers you need. Well, there are some brands, think like a Chipotle, where they're not necessarily ringing everything they use in, right? Well, that's not in the data. So that's a great use for computer vision. I'm going to use cameras and bring in a hardware solution that's going to quantify that usage. My guess is same goes with a cafeteria, or an all-you-can-eat buffet. Those would be great solutions for computer vision. We have a competitor that does computer vision. If you're one of those, you should go there. If you don't want to bring in hardware and you don't want to have spy cameras in your restaurant, then maybe you want to do it through the data. Maybe you go with us. I think it'll end up getting more niche over time.
Got it. What advice would you give to the restaurants considering AI-powered solution, but still thinking?
Yeah, look, here's what I would say. Don't go buy any AI solution that doesn't solve an immediate problem that you have, right? Don't go buy AI for AI's sake. I'd say, first off, go ask AI, go ask ChatGPT or Claude, how do I solve this problem with my current tech stack, right? And if they can't solve it with their current tech stack, then maybe ask, okay, what people would I use to solve this? And how would I grade them? It's one of those, use AI to help you guide your decision of what AI to purchase.
Thank you. How do you envision ClearCogs evolving in the next 3-5 years?
Yeah, I think, ultimately we'd like to be that, fractional CFO, COO that sits on top of your data and, answers those inventory, COGS, all the financial questions, manage the metrics that nobody wants to do so that our people can spend more time focusing on the hospitality, the people side of the business. I think what that looks like is a chat bot one of these large language models, Restaurant Copilot, is somewhat useful when looking at the past. But what really unlocks the value in it is being able to look into the future. And so every one of these AI systems is going to need, prescriptive analytics layered in. And that's a very different discipline than just managing a large language model.
Thank you very much, Matthew, for your time, for joining the podcast today, our podcast today. I really appreciate it, and see you.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.